Okay, so this is me responding to a Steve Shives video, only because I'm banned from the comment section. So yeah, I guess like once a month or something, he'll make a video that triggers me. This is one of those videos. Other than that, I think Steve Shives is awesome. He actually is one of my favorite YouTubers, believe it or not. Okay, so let's start. It's called When You're Already Rich, You Don't Have to Take the Money.
I want to say some things about the Riyadh Comedy Festival, which I know is a story that's been going on for a little while, but people are still talking about it. It doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And that's good for me because I just figured out what I want to say about it that might be halfway interesting and worth sharing with you. And it's basically this. It's not a groundbreaking insight, but
Is it just me or like does Steve Shives live in like a very dark house? I'm not saying anything by that, but it's just like seems very dark.
have you noticed how many of the comedians who have gone or have agreed to go and perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival are already millionaires? The Louis C.K.'s, the Bill Burrs, the Aziz Ansari's, those.
Okay, so we're getting to the point here. It's like the problem is that they are rich, right?
Those folks, right? Those the top shelf, the A level talent, right? The headliners. They're already rich. So like, how much money do you need?
This is this kind of idea that like it's a linear thing or something, and you can have enough money, and it kind of doesn't work like that for many people, or someone who's actually like say an entertainer, because you're making more money and now you've got a bigger team, you've got a bigger whole thing around you. Do you know what I mean? It becomes like a company, I'm guessing.
You know, you've already got more money than you need for the rest of your life. You're already as rich as you're ever going to need to be. So,
Okay, so what's the number? What, like you make enough money that you can just retire and then you don't need to work again? No, I think like it kind of doesn't work like that. And especially for, say, an artist, like a comedian, who's like, it's not just like a normal job. Like, you might be doing it for the money a little bit, but it's not like, okay, I've got enough money now, I'm just going to retire. Do you know what I mean? It might not even be about the money. It's about having an audience, being relevant, or like the art of comedy, like being one of the fucking top guys or something.
what is the upside to saying, sure, I'll take some more money to go participate in what is basically part of a broad public relations effort from the Saudi government to convince everybody that actually, despite the long history of documented horrific human rights abuses, they're not that bad. They deserve to be normalized.
Well, that might be true, but there might also be the argument of cultural exchange, you know? Like, they don't have a comedy circuit, I'm guessing like the New York or LA one. And by having comedians go there, it's like a cultural exchange. Do you know what I mean? Maybe by going there, they bring Saudi Arabia slightly closer to American values or something, you know?
And welcomed into the, you know, the fraternity of nations. And I mean, they're not going to change anything. They're still going to kill journalists and persecute minorities. They're not going to change anything. They're still going to be basically a theocratic dictatorship, a monarchy. They're not.
As someone who spent most of my life working overseas, I just see it as an opportunity to go and live and work in another country. And I don't judge when I'm there, that country, so much. It's like an opportunity to go and visit somewhere else. How is this any different?
Not going to change any of that. But, you know, they'll have some really cool sporting events and a comedy festival with talent from all over the world. And they're just going to throw money at everybody. So come on, give us a break, right? And you're a comedian and you're already a millionaire and you say, sure, okay, because apparently there's no such thing as enough money. If you are in a position where the money that you were being offered to go perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival or to do some other Saudi Arabian event as a part of this, like I said, this public relations effort that the Saudi government has been carrying on for the last 10 years or so to try and sort of launder their reputation.
Or an opportunity for cultural exchange.
If the amount of money that they offer you is going to be a life-changing amount of money for you, if you're not a millionaire, if you're...
So once you're a millionaire, you have to turn things down because in his mind, everything's about money. And I'm sure like these guys went for the paycheck, but they'll have a lot of people around them or projects they want to do that cost a lot of money. Say, maybe Bill Burr wants to make a fucking movie. He goes there, he does his stand-up, maybe gets enough money to fund a movie he's always wanted to make or something, in his, like, artistic outlook or whatever, you know? You don't, like, as soon as you got just enough money to, like, live and pay the bills, doesn't mean you stop doing shit. Do you know what I mean?
Career is still kind of on the climb, or maybe not. Maybe you're afraid that you have reached a plateau and you need to get paid however you can, whenever you can. I'm not saying that makes it right, because I don't think it does, but I get it.
It's not just that. Imagine the opportunity to go to a completely different culture and nation as a like esteemed guest. Do you know what I mean? Can you imagine that opportunity? I just forget the money even. But just as a comedian, you're getting invited to like a kingdom where you're like an esteemed guest and you get to do your art, the comedy or whatever that you've been doing for years, but to like a completely new audience that will never see it ever live, and you got the opportunity to do that. I don't know.
I understand it. I don't necessarily condemn you for it. If it's going to be a life-changing amount of money, okay. You know, who am I to judge? I can't honestly say I would do something different in that position. I'd like to think so. I'd like to think, no, I'd stand on my integrity. I'd stand on my ethics. I would refuse the money. If it was going to be a life-changing amount of money, I don't know. I might make that calculation, you know?
Well, the big difference is I'm guessing they're looking at it from a different perspective to you. You're like, this regime is really harsh or it's got like bad human rights things, all this kind of shit, right? They're like artists who've been given an opportunity, yes, to make a lot of money, but also to go to like a completely unique audience. Do you know what I mean? Like, the focus on the money's too much with Steve Shives.
Might say, yeah, this is gonna be a kick in the teeth to my conscience. This is gonna make it a little more difficult for me to look at myself in the mirror. I might lose some self-respect.
The only thing I can say is, on Steve Shives' side, is Bill Burr has called out people before for going and doing these kind of things, like Beyonce or whatever, or like musicians and stuff. He's like called them out, and then he's sort of done it. So like, in his case, only his case, I think, yeah, you can criticize him, but he could still just turn around and go, you know, I was wrong. And that defeats everything.
but that sure is a lot of money. That sure is going to change my life from here on out. I can't tell you for certain that I would say no to that.
Yeah, so he's going for this whole like, well, like I'm not a millionaire yet or something, but like, do you not think that even if you're a millionaire, like millions can change your life? Like the example I gave before was like maybe one of these comedians, you're limited kind of by your fans a little bit, you know? Maybe they've got a movie they want to make, or they've got like something they want to really do, which you need like $1 million for, and they don't have it. Yeah, they're a millionaire, but they don't have like an extra million. You know what I mean? Maybe these people, they go and do that. Not only are they like probably paying back their agents that helped them get famous in the first place and helping out their team and stuff, but maybe now they've got, you know, because like money becomes power at a certain level. Now they can achieve some other dreams. Do you know what I mean?
And if some of these comedians were in that position and it was a life-changing amount of
It's not about can I pay my rent, you know?
money, hey. I don't think it was a life-changing amount of money for Louis C.K. I don't think it was a life-changing amount of money for Bill Burr. You know?
Oh, I didn't even know Louis C.K. went. That's kind of brave of the Saudis to invite Louis C.K. Respect to the Saudis for inviting that guy. Hang on, I'm just like looking for it. I'm looking for cigarettes. Oh shit. Oh no, I found them. I've got some cigarettes. Okay. We can carry on.
Not only do they have quite a bit in the bank already, I would guess, but also they're incredibly popular touring comedians, like even Louis C.K., who hasn't really...
Like, he's still going about money. Like, okay, I'm not rich, you know? I don't have much money. I lost pretty much all my savings during, if I say it, maybe my video will be, like, hidden. Yeah, I lost most of my savings surviving through the when you're not allowed to work time that happened recently. But I know some very rich people, and it's a different life for them. And it's not like you got enough. It's like these guys are always doing something. Do you know what I mean? They're always doing something because the whole like paying rent or whatever. You're not hungry. It's not about rent. It's now more about like projects and businesses and what you can start and this kind of shit. It's like, yeah, I think the whole thing is like, what's enough money? No, like, it's not that. It's like, the more money you have, the more opportunities you have to do shit.
been re-welcomed into the mainstream since all of that business about, you know, showing his dick to people without their consent and then apologizing for it and saying, I'm going to go away now. And then he went away for like less than a year and just came back and tried to pretend that it never happened, right? That, like that thing.
The whole thing with like Louis C.K., like, did he really do anything that bad? Because as far as I know, he was just doing that when he wasn't that famous. And it was just a kind of, I'm not saying it's fucking awesome or something, but did he really, I don't know. It's not like fucking Harvey Weinstein, do you know what I mean? He just had this weird thing, way like jacking off in front of women or something. And it all came out a lot later when he was famous. I'm not saying it's like all cool or something, but it's like, I think it was a bit overblown. And I think it's almost like the Louis C.K. thing is what kind of like dug out the soil that was beneath the whole Me Too movement and like keeping that whole thing up. I think that was a turning point. That's just my opinion. I could make a whole video about that.
Even with all of that, he's still, he lost his TV show, he lost a lot of his movie deals, but he's still a really successful touring comedian.
Yeah, he got fucked, right? He lost loads of shit. I think it was even like something that he was in, like some movie or I can't remember or something, movie or TV show, and that actually like just didn't even air it, like it wasn't even released because of the historic, not allegations because he admitted them, the historic act of him like jacking off in front of people. So can you imagine how many like projects lost money and shit, or the ones that got cancelled?
He's still going and playing to packed venues all over the country, all over the world.
Yeah, and if he's playing to packed venues all around the country and all around the world, it's because he's one of the best comedians in history, if not one of the best American comedians of all time. And like, Steve Shives is actually a really good comedian, right? Like I say, he's one of my favorite YouTubers. He's a good comedian. He's probably not a good stand-up comedian, but he's good at what he does. Video comedian. He must know that Louis C.K. is one of the best American comedians of all time. That's why he has the fucking sold out shows everywhere.
He's still releasing albums that are winning fucking awards. So it's
Yeah, they're winning awards because they're probably fucking brilliant.
not like he needs the money. Bill Burr, at least up until this point, was like everybody's favorite comedian.
But the whole thing is it's all about they must be going there for the money. They don't need their money. They're just selling out. But the rich, they're already millionaires, so they're just selling out for more money. Maybe it's not that. Maybe part of it is a unique opportunity to go to a completely different culture as a guest of honor and to be one of the first comedians to do live shit to that audience. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't all have to be about money. I mean, the money's going to be a fucking thing, okay, but...
And rightfully so. I love Bill Burr. He's great. He's brilliant. He's hilarious. And he's become...
Bill Burr was better when he wasn't what he is now, though. Let's be honest, like maybe 4 years ago he was good.
Very, very successful. So I'm pretty sure the Riyadh Comedy Festival money, that payday was not going to be life-changing for him either. He could have said no, and it would not have hurt him at all. And he would not have had to justify that to himself or to his loved ones. He wouldn't have had...
Maybe he actually believed that this was a good opportunity for him to go there. So you're saying he's got to justify it. That's making the assumption that he's actually doesn't want to go there. Okay, I get it based on what you said before about Beyonce or something. But it's making an assumption that he's sold out just for the money. And that's kind of a big assumption. And that anything he says about, well, I didn't go there for that reason is just him trying to explain it away.
To say, sorry, kids, you can't go to college. I'm not playing the Riyadh Comedy Festival. That wasn't the situation. Is it because we have been taught, we have been inculcated for generations upon generations in this country to believe that you have to take the money, even if you don't need it? That it's not enough to be successful. You have to be...
He does have a point here that there's this kind of like, especially with famous people, it's like a bloom, you know, you work a long time, then you hit the highlights or whatever, and or even like YouTubers, you know, like you'll get to the top, there's a peak, and that's when you got to cash in as much as you can because it's going to drop off and he's going to be a stranger. He might be correct here a little bit. It could be, well, I'm riding high now, I've been invited to fucking Riyadh, I'm killing it now, this is an opportunity to still make some generational wealth. I'm like sort of taking the devil's advocate, Steve Shives thing here.
As successful as you can possibly be. That it's not enough to be rich. being rich.
No, he just said to be as successful as you could possibly be. Now, like, rich is money. That's not the ultimate of success in your field, okay? So, like, a comedian who's, like, nailed the American market, nailed the English market, or whatever, what's next for them, right? And then they get an opportunity to go to a completely new country and as invited as fucking like ambassadors, as elites, probably in the best hotels and shit. I don't know, horse-drawn carts for them, limos, whatever. But the main thing is like they've already nailed America. They've already nailed England or whatever, comedian as an artist, and now this is like, if you want to be the best of the best, this is an opportunity to be better than you could be. Do you know what I mean? Like the maybe even I'm not a comedian, but I can imagine like going to like Riyadh or something. It's gonna be a whole different thing, and you've got to be like, you've got to be so good in your art that you can be funny. And these are all like little sort of edgy comedians, but not step on toes. And maybe for them, that's like a creative challenge. And I don't know, like imagine being the first American comedian to go to the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. Like that's got to be pretty cool, right?
Is not the goal. The goal is to be as rich as you fucking can be. In all circumstances, no matter what. Even if you don't need the money, and even if the person offering you the money is demanding that you make a serious moral compromise in order to get the money, you have to take the money. That's what generation after generation.
I don't know, like I'm kind of getting bored of this video. We're not even that long into it. I'll give it a few more minutes if there's anything that I can respond to. Otherwise, I think I probably said my opinion already. And I'm not thinking he's going to bring anything new. I think he's just going to keep repeating the, well, you fucking got loads of money, so you don't need the money, so why are you going to go and compromise your beliefs that he's projecting onto them?
Of being taught that we must be guided by the profit motive above all else has done to us. Even rich.
Okay, so like unmonetize your fucking channel. Like this, I had to like download this because it's got adverts on it. Everyone needs to eat at some point, and these guys have more mouths to feed. They're like big shots, right? They're not just like by themselves. They've got like probably many people who've helped them get where they are, like team or whatever, that they also need to pay. And maybe they've got to think, if you're just thinking about just the money, it might not just be like, oh, well, I'm going to go to Riyadh to make $1 million. It might be like, you know what, I'm going to go to Riyadh with my team and I'll make $1 million and I can fucking give fucking, I don't know, 600K to all these guys that have been with me and helped me get where I am.
People. In fact, it seems like especially rich people, all they care about is money. Look at someone like Elon Musk, the richest motherfucker on the planet. Or actually, I think technically now he's no longer the richest motherfucker on the planet because he leaned too hard into the motherfucker part of that, and people were like,
okay, I'll be honest, like I'm kind of bored myself now. And I think there's a thing when you do a response video, if you start becoming bored yourself, then the audience is being bored for a lot longer. So this is the end of my response. But honestly, go and watch Steve Shives. Watch the whole thing. He might change his mind. He might say something later on that blows me out the water. I just can't put up with it anymore. But if you like Star Trek, watch his channel, because he's the best Star Trek guy in the world. And when he does like comedy videos, he's actually very funny. Like I say, he's one of my favorite, it's like kind of love-hate relationship, like I love some of his content and I fucking hate some of his content. Okay, that's enough.